Welcome to the Feast Life, where we empower you, the modern homeschool mom, to create a life and homeschool you love, one founded on faith, family, freedom, and fun. I'm your host, Julie Ross, creator of the award-winning homeschool curriculum, A Gentle Feast, and a certified Christian life coach. For more information on today's episode and to access my free gift for you, check out thefeastlife.me. Charlotte Mason once said, "Life should be all living, not a mere tedious passing of time." So on this show, we seek to savor the feast of life. Girl, grab your favorite beverage and pull up a chair. You are welcome at this table. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Feast Life. I'm your host, Julie Ross. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about a word that you may want to consider deleting from your vocabulary. Let's see if you can figure out what word I'm talking about. I should be more organized. We should be farther along in our curriculum by now. I shouldn't have snapped at my son. My daughter should have learned her multiplication tables by now. I should spend more time with my spouse. My home should be neater. Homeschooling shouldn't be this hard. Can you figure out which word I'm talking about? That's right. Should. You know, the word should, it just doesn't feel really good, does it? We need to stop shoulding all over ourselves. The dictionary defines the word should as one being used to indicate obligation, duty, or correctness, typically when criticizing one's actions. Now, it's good to want to fulfill a duty and to do our obligation and to want to do things correctly. But it's the last part of the definition, which is why the word doesn't feel so great. It's typically used to criticize one's actions. So how do we should all over ourselves? Well, first of all, the word leads to shame. It turns anger inward for all the ways that we are falling short. It has a negative connotation. It's usually referring to something that we're not happy about. We use the word should to hurt or beat up ourselves because we're not doing things the way we think we ought to. So it brings up feelings of inadequacy. It also can cause anxiety and leads to self-rejection. Saying what we should have done or who we should be is really just fighting against ourselves. This takes our energy. We think of all the ways that we haven't measured up to who we think we need to be. We think through all the things we would have liked to have done differently or wish we could have done differently. And all that mental energy could actually be spent on doing things in the present. Being focused on the people in our lives and the things that we are making right now. The word should keeps us in a negative shame cycle. The more shame that we feel, the more our actions pull us away from other people. Shame brings us inward into a negative cycle within ourselves. And then we're not able to be fully present for the people in our lives. The more shame we feel, the more disconnection we feel towards people in our lives. And then the more we pull away, which just makes us feel more ashamed. One of the ways to break out of this shame cycle is by dropping the word should from your vocabulary. Another thing, the word should leads us to feel like we just need to try harder. I should have volunteered more at church. I should have taken the kids to the park today. There's always more we could be doing. We try to do a million things and then we end up feeling overwhelmed and exhausted and burn out. And then we say that we never have time to do the things we actually want to do, the things that truly matter to us. In 1975, a study revealed that a stay-at-home mom spent on average 11 hours a week on primary child care activities, such as reading to their child or playing with their child. Something that they were doing in direct response to stay connected to their child. Today, stay-at-home moms spend 17 hours a week doing those things. We have so many demands on us in our modern world. As homeschool moms, we have all the demands of homeschooling, plus caring for our home, caring for our spouse, taking care of the household. Some of us have sick parents, and some of us have our own health issues to deal with. Plus all the expectations we have. Our expectations for being a mom have never been greater. We are stretched out to the max, and then we feel guilty that we're not able to stretch farther. Eliminating the word should from your vocabulary helps you get control of this mental narrative. Get rid of this word and see how much time opens up in your life. The word should also causes regret. I shouldn't have snapped at my husband. I should have been better prepared. Did these thoughts actually help you? Do we actually get to do any of those things over? Do we actually learn anything from our mistakes when we use the word should? No. They're all self-defeating questions. It's a huge waste of our time and mental energy because we can't actually change the past. The past only exists in our minds. The only thing we can do is learn from it. But beating ourselves up for something we can't change gets us nowhere. And quite honestly, it just doesn't make us feel very good. Today's episode is brought to you by A Gentle Feast. A Gentle Feast offers a complete living books curriculum, an award-winning early reading program, and more tools to equip you to apply Charlotte Mason's timeless philosophy into your modern homeschool. Go to agentlefeast.com to check it out. Smooth and easy days are closer than you think. In the end, should is a very poor motivator because it's based on shoddy logic and more likely to cause you unfounded guilt than result in meaningful action. Should is focused on the problem instead of the solution. So instead of saying should, you could say things like, next time I will, or I have learned. Learn to question your shoulds. When you say things like, oh, I should exercise more, or oh, I shouldn't eat dessert after supper. Well, why? Why should you do that? Why do you have this expectation for yourself? Does it match up with the values and priorities you have for your life? Do you feel a certain sense of obligation? Is adding this to your life reasonable considering how much you already have on your plate? So just be mindful and notice when you're using the word should. When you're about to think it in your head, or even when you're about to say it out loud, see if you can catch yourself and replace the word should. Now here are some words that may be helpful to use instead. Words like will, would, could, or phrases like the one I used at the beginning of this episode, may be beneficial, or I have decided, or I would like to. So instead of saying I should be better organized, instead try, I have decided to take steps to be more organized. Instead of, I should bring that new mom a meal, say, I would like to bring that new mom a meal. Instead of saying, I shouldn't have yelled at my son, instead say, it may be beneficial to communicate more calmly. Instead of saying, homeschooling shouldn't be so hard, say, I have decided homeschooling gets to be easy. These small shifts in the way that we use words have such an impact. The words that we say to ourselves and the words that we say to others can help us change from being reactive and regretful to proactive and positive. Done will be the second guessing and self-blame, the cycles of shame. Now you'll be able to be more forward-looking and more hopeful for future possibilities and things you can create in your life. Not only do we need to stop shoulding on ourselves, it's not really helpful to should on others. When you use the word should in your comments to other people, it implies criticism and judgment. You should be finished with your math by now. You should know how to do this. You should remember to pick up your shoes. You shouldn't have said that. You should have a better attitude. When we use this word, it brings so much negative connotation, and no one likes to feel criticized. In response, sometimes people feel like, oh yeah, you can't tell me what to do, and they rebel or resist. Some people take that and they turn it in on themselves, and it fills them with shame. We don't want to do that to the people in our lives. By focusing on the negative, you are reinforcing what you don't actually want. Your critical voice is reinforcing your child's own inner critic. By using the word should, you're eliminating their personal responsibility. As humans, we all want a choice. We don't want to feel like we have to do something. Like I tell my kids all the time, no, you don't have to go clean your room. You get to go clean your room. We want to feel like we have a choice, and the word should often makes us feel like we don't have one. I love the verse where it says, God's kindness leads us to repentance. We want to speak words that allow people to make the choice to respond in a positive way without feeling obligation, duty that the word should connotates. So we could use the word could or would when talking to others. For example, you could say, you could be playing with your toys if your math was finished. Would it help you to remember how you solved that problem yesterday? It would be better if you worded that statement differently. Could you put your shoes away? Could you express your negative feelings in a healthier way? If I say words like should, ought, have to, must, we're not teaching anyone new behavior. I'm just using a negative emotion to try to get what I want, a certain behavior. And that is a very poor motivator. So make today the day you decide to stop shoulding all over yourselves and others. Take control of your use of this word and see the changes that come into your life. All right, everyone, until next time, remember, life is a feast. Let's savor it. Hey there, Julie Ross here. I just wanted to say thank you for listening to today's episode. If you like this show, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a positive review in iTunes. This really does help people learn about the podcast. And each month, I will pick a winner to receive a free gift. Don't forget to check out all the free resources we created for you at thefeastlife.me. Thank you.